Missions and Simmons and Fletcher Local Missions Podcast. I'm your host, Paul Cannon, Managing Partner at Simmons and Fletcher PC. We are excited to have a guest today, Bobbie Mark, the Executive Director of Redeemed Ministries, is going to tell us about that ministry. If you are a member of a local missions in the Houston or Katy area and would like to be a part of this show, please don't hesitate to reach out, send me an email, or get in touch with me. We're always looking for new guests. But today's guest, Bobbie Mark, tell us about Redeemed Ministries.
Hi, good morning, Paul. Thank you for having me. Redeemed Ministries, we are an organization that has been in existence since 2005. Our primary purpose is to provide safe housing for women, domestic survivors of sex trafficking. And we've done that for the last 13 and a half years here in the Houston area, served over 150 women. So I'm excited to tell you a little bit more about what we do today.
Wow, 150 women. And how long have y'all been operating, did you say?
Well, our organization was founded in 2005 and our Safe House was opened in 2010. So the Safe House has been in operation for 13 and a half years or so. We're the longest running house in the state of Texas and one of the first that was opened in the entire country.
Oh, wow. And I saw a name, I think, on your website that referred to the Sparrow House. Is that the one you're referring to, or is that a different one?
Yes, nope. We call our Safe House the Sparrow House.
Well, I won't ask addresses or anything like that. I'm sure it's something you like to keep private, but in light of the nature of it. But tell us a little bit about what goes on at the Sparrow House when y'all bring somebody in there.
Love to. So when a woman is referred to us, and we work with women ages 18 and over, although the youngest we've had in our house has been 17 and the oldest was 60 when she arrived. Our average age is in their 20s. But when a woman is referred to us, she'll go through an interview process. And at the end of that process, when we bring her into the house, she arrives, she gets settled in. And then a few days after settling in, we get her going on our education program. And
wow.
So yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to ask, what does the education program involve?
So our education program is a robust grouping of classes that we have put together for our residents. They include everything from life skills, job readiness, boundaries. We teach a class on trauma education, addiction education. We teach our residents what it means to be emotionally regulated, and we teach them how to help regulate their own emotions because, as you and I know, that's really important in life to be able to regulate our emotions. Our classes include all of these arenas, as well as we have groups that are support groups that our ladies also attend.
Wow. With all these classes and things going on, do you have a lot of full-time staff as teachers, or how does that work?
So we utilize a variety of staff and volunteers to come in and teach our classes. So we're a team of 12. So we're not a very large team, but we're also not small. So we're like right in the middle there on our size. And we have an education coordinator. Her name is Carla, and her job is to ensure our classes are going every day. Our ladies go to the education center Monday through Friday. They're also involved in counseling and equine therapy. But when they're in class, her job is to make sure that our teachers are showing up and that the class is being taught and that the focus of what we're wanting our ladies to learn is happening. So we have our staff, for example, our program director teaches the emotion regulation class. I teach our trauma education class. We have a holistic recovery coach and she teaches the addiction education. So we utilize staff members and we have volunteers who come in to teach job readiness, art classes, and all kinds of other things.
Wow. So it sounds like there's a little bit of the art and kind of stuff. It sounds like there's a little bit of stuff that's just, I guess, personal development and having a little bit of fun so that it's not all rigorous study, but it sounds like the bulk of these classes are really aimed at getting them prepared to, I guess, move on and be able to return back to society and live a normal life and take care of themselves and have normal relationships with men, employers, and society that they probably haven't had for a while.
Absolutely. One of the core components of our program is what is called the Seeds to Healing. And there's a book written by a gentleman by the name of Dr. John Arden. He wrote a book called The Brain Bible. And we've taken from that the Seeds to Healing which are, the acronym is socializing, education, exercise, diet, and sleep. And so if you take those letters, it spells out the word seeds. And whenever we implement those specific aspects, what professionals have learned is our brain will physically heal from the trauma that it has endured, because there are physical changes in a brain that has been subjected to traumatic events. And so that's why we have a variety of offerings in our education center. We have the socializing. That's when volunteers are coming in, they're meeting in support groups. Even on the weekends, our ladies go out to participate in fun activities and outings. They're going to the rodeo right now,
Oh, wow.
things like this. Yeah, because this will socialize them and this helps the brain heal versus isolating, because isolation is just not good for us. And the education part, professionals have found that when we learn something new, we are physically healing our brain. And so that's one of the reasons we want to teach our women who come into the program new things, whether it's guitar lessons or learning how to speak Spanish or learning something new about their brain or their healing. And then, of course, we have exercise and healthy foods that we offer them. And then we want them to get a good 7 to 9 hours of sleep at night. But yes, it all works together. And when they can do things like expressive art or work in the garden, these things will help them stabilize and begin to heal.
Wow. And so at any given moment, how many ladies are you guys housing?
Well, our current house has a capacity of 8. We currently have 5 with a 6th individual who will be arriving in the next week or so. So by the time this airs, we'll have 6 women in the house. And typically we will operate with 6 to 7 in the house at any given time.
Okay. And I know I've been involved with a few organizations that do similar work to what you guys are doing. I kind of understand the concept, but tell the listeners a little bit about why that interview process and that screening process is important for the girls that are before they are actually introduced to the house and meet the other girls.
Absolutely. We've learned over the years, whenever we first opened the Safe House in 2010, we really did not know what we were doing. We didn't know what we were getting into, and we learned along the way. And one of the things we learned is readiness for change is important. And at the time, we just assumed everybody was going to be in this stage of change where they were going to be ready to grow and learn and heal and make a change in their life, but that's not always the case. And so as we're going through the interview process, what we're evaluating and assessing is this individual's readiness for change. And we want to assess where she is in her use of illicit drugs. Does she have an addiction that needs to be dealt with? Because if somebody is active in their addiction, they really need to get that under control before they can start focusing on the trauma. And so that's one of the things we're assessing for. We're assessing for a danger level. Is she in the process of running away from a trafficker? Does she need to, if she's applying to our program and she's here in Houston, are we really the best place for her? Do we need to help her leave this area and go to a program in another state? Or is she coming to us from another state to flee a trafficker? So we're assessing a lot of these things. We're also assessing her mental health and determining what kinds of needs she'll have when she comes into our program. Will she need psychiatric care? Will she be on a lot of medications? Does she have a psychiatric diagnosis that may be outside of our scope of care, where maybe she needs to be someplace where they have a lot of professional staff, like psychiatrists on staff or psychologists on staff? So we're really assessing a lot of these things when we're going through that interview process.
I know you guys work with Rescue Houston, formerly Rescue Houston, now Rescue America, as far as girl placements go. Are there other ways that people can reach out directly to you if they're looking for help or if they're looking for a place for somebody to stay?
Absolutely. So we're members of the National Trafficking Shelter Alliance, and through the NTSA, they have a national referral process, and organizations and individuals who want to refer somebody can go to the National Trafficking Sheltered Alliance's website and make a referral that way. That referral is going to be shot out throughout the country, and we she'll be one of the recipients of the referral, we can do a preliminary assessment and determine if she might be a good fit for our program. Another way is on our website, redeemedtx.org. On our website, there is a tab that an individual can click, and it will take them to the referral page where they can fill out a referral form that comes to us directly. And we get a lot of referrals through our page directly. So it could be maybe Rescue America is referring somebody, maybe another organization here in town. It could be a domestic violence shelter. It could be, we've worked with a lot of sexual assault shelters around the state, or even rehabs and domestic violence shelters. When they're working with individuals, they may recognize some of the signs of sex trafficking, and so they will then refer to us. So word of mouth through our website, through the National Trafficking Shelter Alliance, and obviously we do get emails just to our info@redeemedtx.org as well.
So tell us a little bit about some of the ladies that you guys have been successful in helping. I don't want to know about them personally, but have you been able to place some of them in jobs, get them back into careers, get them back into productive ways of life? Can you tell us a little bit about some of those stories in general?
Oh, I would love to. Those are the stories that keep us going, because this work is hard. It is very hard. And whenever we are able to help a woman transition from complete brokenness in her trauma, and she is now successful, we love that. I'll use two just off the top of my head, because they both transitioned into jobs in cosmetology. And
Okay.
both of them already had their cosmetology licensing before they came to our program, which
Wow.
was, pretty amazing. But they weren't able to utilize it. One of them was being trafficked. Actually, it was a combination of sex trafficking and labor trafficking. Her trafficker was having her work at like a Great Clips during the day, and then she was prostituting at night.
Oh
And
my gosh.
you can imagine how exhausted she was, right? Well, so when she came to us, that's all she talked about is, I wanted, I want to be a cosmetologist. This is my dream. This is my dream. The other young lady managed to get her cosmetology licensing while being trafficked, which was just a feat in and of itself. She was able to go to school, get that licensure, but then she was never able to use it. And that's part of what a lot of traffickers will do. They dangle this carrot, I'm going to help you with this. But then, she was able to do it. And I'm sure he was shocked that she was able to accomplish that. But then she was never able to utilize that. And then coming to us, the first young lady, she was with us in our program for 2 years, and one day went into transitional, our graduate housing, and she's working in an upscale salon in the Woodlands in her dream job, and she is doing splendidly. The other young lady who's in cosmetology, she's still in our safe house. After women have been in our program for a full year, they're eligible to work outside the home but stay in the safe home for another year, and we help them transition that way. And so she's also working in an upscale salon in the Spring area and doing beautifully there. She's receiving additional training and learning new skills and techniques, and she's really doing great. So these are two women who have been able to see their dreams fulfilled, and we have so many just like them. Maybe they aren't in a career of their original choosing, but we've had women graduate and go on to being supervisors at Starbucks, working with other nonprofit organizations, going into coaching, personal coaching and life coaching. And those are the great stories we love to hear.
Wow, that's awesome. You indicated you've had 150 people come through the program. And I heard you say, I thought I heard you say, it sounded like it's a program lasts about a year. And then after a year, they're eligible to continue to live in the safe house while they work outside, and kind of, I guess it's kind of a first step towards moving back into society. And then
Yes.
after another year of that, they're kind of encouraged to find permanent housing and be a permanent member of society again, huh?
Yes. So we have several phases throughout our program. Phase 1, 2, 3. Like a phase 1 is stabilization. So for the first 30 or 60 days, a woman is in our house. She's really stabilizing. And that would be considered like a phase 1 program. But she's stabilizing and we're assessing her needs. Then she moves into what would be considered phase 2, and that's long-term housing. And she's in the same house, the same program the whole time. It's just her counseling focus and our program focus is a little bit different. but we go from assessing and stabilization to integrating her into the full education portion of the program. Well, after a year, some of our ladies, they choose to graduate at a year. And what we found are globally, the global statistics show that 80% of men, women, and children who are rescued from sex trafficking relapse. 80% globally. Yeah,
Terrible.
it is high numbers. What we found is in our program, it's almost just the opposite. And we have like a 25% recidivism rate, which is amazing. So only 25% will relapse. And then of that 25%, often those women will still, they wrap back around and then they get their life back together again. And some of them who relapsed after graduating are now living lives, that are not in the sex industry. They may have had just a short period of relapse. What we found is when women come into the program, and a lot of those 150 have chosen and opted not to complete the full year, they have a higher relapse rate. They're relapsing at a rate of like 89 to 90%. And we feel that that's probably where that kind of, when they're on the desire to change and their addictions and where all of that falls into play, if they're not able to stay in the program, they're usually leaving pretty quickly and then they're going right back into the life. But after someone's been in our house for a year, she can either say, hey, I'm ready to graduate. And then we help her get an apartment. We'll help her with furnishings. We partner with other organizations in the area. And so we help her, we'd help her get a job and all of these things, right? So she's removing some of the vulnerabilities. If a woman
Wow.
chooses to stay for 18 months in our house, now she has more benefits with us. So we'll help her get a car. And
Wow.
we'll match dollar for dollar up to $1,500. And because she's able to work full time outside the house at a year, she essentially has 6 months worth of free housing, free groceries, wraparound services. And so she can save 100% of whatever she's earning. And that one of those young ladies that I just told you about who's still in the house, she's saving all of this money because when she hits 18 months, she's going to take a big chunk of money that she saved, take the $1,500 from us and buy herself a car that's going to be really reliable. And
Hey,
then
good for her.
from 18 to 24 months, they can still stay in our program or they can choose to graduate, but now they're graduating with the car and we'll still help them with the apartment. If they stay in the program, now they're able to drive themselves to and from work. So it essentially becomes kind of a phase 3 program where they're transitioning. And so they have their cell phone, they have their car, they're driving themselves to and from work, to and from church or their sobriety support groups or wherever they're going, but they're still able to save quite a bit of money, not 100% anymore because they're responsible for their car insurance and their gas and their cell phone bill. But then they can stay for, the 2 years. And at 2 years, if they stay that long, they can graduate and go into our graduate housing program, which gives them rent subsidy. It gives them a little bit more stability because now they're more independent. So they're paying a lot more of their bills. They're paying their utilities and whatnot, but they're not having to pay that huge chunk of rent. They're paying part of it. And then we work with them over that first year to build up their independence. So now they're getting used to paying rent, a little bit at a time. So by the end of that first year in their graduate house, they are really ready for independence. And we found that that's the most successful plan. And that's been the most successful ladies that have come out of our program.
Wow, that is awesome. Well, tell us a little bit about the kind of volunteer opportunities you have for people who want to get involved and be a part of such a amazing process.
Oh boy, we have so many volunteer opportunities because we're a small staff of 12. You can imagine we still wear quite a few hats and we need volunteers to come alongside us to fill the gaps that we can't afford to pay professionals to fill or that we don't have enough staff to fill. So we have volunteers who come in and teach classes and lead groups. We have volunteers who come alongside us and help with our marketing. That's a huge need all the time to help us with our marketing, especially with fundraisers and things like that. And we can't afford a professional marketing person. So if you are a marketing professional, we need you. We have volunteers who help us plan and implement our fundraisers. We have 2 big fundraisers every year, our golf tournament, which is happening very soon in March. And then in September, we always have our annual gala. And that takes 30 to 40 volunteers for each of those events. So we have needs there. And lastly, we have needs to keep our property clean and repaired. And so we have volunteers who come out to the property and clear brush. We're working on building a prayer and healing garden. And so volunteers are coming out and clearing trees and brush and helping us to get that area prepared. So whatever you can imagine, we can use a volunteer to help us in a different area.
Oh, wow. That is awesome. What are the future goals, I guess I should say, of your organization?
Well, we are in the process of looking for a office and education center space. We were in an office and education center space, and then it just got too expensive, and we had to move back onto the property, which is why right now we only have 5 to 6 women in the house because we've had to use some of our bedroom space for offices. So when we're looking at
Gosh.
growth, we had to remove 2 of the beds, and but we're looking for that space. We think we have some funding coming in that's going to cover the cost of that. And so when we're able to for that growth to happen and for us to move the education center and our offices back into a space that's off property, we'll be able to begin growing our social enterprise program. It's called the Redeemed Economic Empowerment Program, or REAP for short. And we have a for-profit business under our not-for-profit umbrella called Sparrow House Works. When women have been in the house for 6 months, they're able to work in this social enterprise and earn money from that 6 months to a year, which is essentially the first step in getting back into the workplace. But we just don't have the space for that. And so our future goals are to find a really solid location where we can begin to grow our economic empowerment program so we can serve not only the women in our house, but our graduates and other women who may be independent clients of ours or other survivors from other organizations who are looking for employment and they need employment in a safe environment. So that's our one of our big goals for the next year and a half. And then we're also exploring the opportunity to expand to include services for moms with their children. We've had several women come into the program, and one of their goals is to regain custody of their children. And in order to do that, they have to learn about parenting, and they need to learn that in a safe space that'll be safe for them and their children. So we're exploring opportunities of what that might look like to expand our services to include moms with their children.
Wow. Yeah, and that obviously requires space. You
Yep.
any kind of course and training that you're going to do, you gotta have a physical building to do it in. Well, so I guess always a possibility of maybe church space out there that would volunteer it for some of it, but not for things like offices that need to be more permanent and that sort of thing. Well, good
Right.
deal. Tell me a little bit about just kind of if people want to donate, maybe they don't have the time, but they actually want to give support. How can they go about doing that with you guys?
Well, there are several ways. We accept in-kind donations, and those in-kind donations include things like stock and bonds, which
Wow.
people don't often really think about that. So you might have, in fact, our organization was founded on $5,000 of stock that was donated, and that's how this organization started back in 2005. And this man and his wife donated $5,000 in stock, and now look at the impact that they have had in this arena. All these women's lives have been impacted because of that donation. So people can donate stock and bonds. They can donate other in-kind things that actually help us a lot, like basic things like toilet paper, paper towels. But obviously, the dollars are the biggest need, right? And so people can go to our website and donate directly through our website. You can become a monthly donor or a one-time donor. People can have fundraisers on Facebook and donate that way. You can do a Facebook birthday fundraiser or just anything. If you see us advertise that maybe we have an unexpected expense, like right now, our septic system, one of the motors burned out. So that's a $2,200 expense that we were not planning,
Goodness.
right? Yeah. So somebody could say, oh, you know what? I'm going to go to Facebook and raise $2,200 for this organization. And that's helpful if you don't have your own money that you can donate. So, and people often think if I don't have a lot of money, I can't make an impact. And that's just not true. Because if we have a lot of people who are donating a little bit, it's going to add up to a lot. And so even if people can only donate 10 or 15 or $20 a month, that's going to add up for us and make a bigger impact down the road. We do have our golf tournament coming up, and we are always looking for companies to sponsor. So sponsorship levels are anything from $500 all the way up to $20,000. We have great companies sponsoring us: Houston Airport Systems, NOV, Frost Bank, Pinch Transport. We have great organizations and companies that are supporting our cause. And so if you are a business owner, or if you work for a business, that's a great way to make a huge impact, is to have a business sponsor one of our events. And then there's all kinds of creative things that people can do. So I would just suggest that somebody would reach out to me, either Bobbie at redeemtx.org or info@redeemtx.org, and we can discuss different ways of making an impact financially.
Gotcha. And if somebody has like in-kind donations they want to give, those kind of things, maybe they want to donate a car or something like that, do they just reach out to you and then you make arrangements to meet with them, or how does that work?
Absolutely. They can reach out to me directly, or they can reach out to our operations director, Laura, which it's laura@redeemtx.org. It's all kind of easy. You see the pattern here. Our first name @redeemtx.org.
There you
And
go.
so, yeah, the easiest is to remember info, because we all of the executive leadership get that one. But yeah, they can just reach out to us and I'll get them connected to the right person.
And you guys are on Facebook, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, places where people can go and follow and keep up with what's going on, I assume?
Yep, absolutely. We love increasing that following, and that's a great place to go, just to keep up with what we're doing and what our needs are. And then people can also go to our website and sign up to receive our newsletter, and we send those newsletters out periodically to let people know what our needs are and what's going on.
Well, that is awesome. Thank you so much for being a guest. Is there anything else that I haven't thought to ask, or I know you're going, there's a million things we do. How can I remember them all? But is there anything in particular that you're thinking of that you would love to share with the people that I haven't asked you about?
Oh boy, you're right. There's just so much, and we could talk about this for hours, but we have this short time. I think we've covered so much of it. Redeemed is a faith-based organization, and so for us, our employees are all followers of Jesus, and so we really want to introduce that relationship to Christ to our ladies. Some of them reject that, and some of them embrace that relationship, and so we do that. And our primary focus is just creating a safe environment for these women to heal and to know that they have a future, and that future doesn't have to be the sex industry. They can have a future of living what we would call, quote, a normal life. And so that's what we're here about. And that's what we want to do, is be the hands and feet of Jesus and just help these women heal from their trauma and look forward to a beautiful future.
Well,
But I
that's awesome.
appreciate you having me here today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And thanks for telling us about your highly successful organization. It sounds like if you guys are able to reduce that relapse rate down to 25% when the nationwide average is 80%, that's making a difference there in a tough area to make a difference in. And that's really wonderful what you guys are doing. Thank you so much for being a guest.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. Have a great day.
You bet. You too.